this life is up to me. There's help, there's people, there's God, there's the universe, there's energy, there's all kind of stuff that can move in the direction with me and assist me, but I've got to do the work. Today I'm joined by Kristen Wambach. We all fight the gap between where we are and where we're meant to be. We struggle to merge our spiritual calling with our day-to-day chaos. My guest today doesn't just talk about faith, she brings us into the actual conversation. Kristen Wambach is an ordained pastor, a coach, and the host of Interviewing Jesus podcast, which I was honored to be on. She has mastered the art of letting go of the struggle to find God and simply hear him and find out what it means to live spiritually brave. Welcome, Kristen. Great to see you again.
Hello, Daryl. Hello, listeners. I am grateful that I'm showing up.
I'm grateful you're showing up to the Show Up podcast. It's great to see you because, every time we have had the opportunity to speak, it's just been a great conversation. And the cool thing is we don't know where it's going to go, but it just goes to cool places.
It does. It does.
So you have a book out. I want to get that out there, a brand new book that published 2 days ago. Can you just give us a brief little synopsis?
A brief synopsis. How do you put 440 pages in a brief synopsis, Daryl?
We'll get to the other side of it toward the end too. We'll go through it again.
And your listeners just went, when you said that.
Yeah.
It's the name of the book is called How Good Is God with an exclamation mark. And I will leave this there for thought. God is so much gooder than our current bandwidth about him.
All right. God is so much gooder than our current bandwidth about him. Well, we're going to have to hit that as we go, because that brings up so many questions for me, and I'm sure it brings up so many questions from a listener perspective. But you know what? Tell me one thing about that, Kristen, if you would, in terms of just how you're framing that for you.
Very redemptive and very restorative.
Well, I have spent most of my life not having a clue what I'm doing and banging my head against the wall and screwing 1,000 things up. And I'm still here and I'm still smiling. And I think that has a lot to do with the faith that I have in the God that I understand or fail to understand. I have to throw that in there.
Yeah. Because we both can understand when we wrestle with life, when we fight with life, when we duke it out, and sometimes we walk away, many times we walk away with either a broken bone or a black eye from our own fight. The cool thing that I've learned and experienced about God, when I say experience, meaning that he responds back, is that none of that has gone to waste. None of it's gone to waste. None of it's down the toilet. It's not a waste of life, waste of time. And it is phenomenal the way he restores something that was really important to you.
Yeah, including me, right? And I think that's the really cool thing is, and it brings to mind for me, the lessons we get throughout this life. And I look at it as free training, free therapy, free whatever, right? You get the lessons in life and it's like, okay, what am I going to do with this? And I believe those things are, they come from God, because he's trying, I believe, to move us this way. And a lot of times we're trying to, do that or just kind of coast. And he's like, no. So we get those lessons. And then once we finally sort of get it on one issue or topic or whatever it is, that lesson goes away and it's replaced by a different one that I need to get better at something else, right? I mean, seems to be how it works.
Well, I've come to the conclusion, if you just say, excuse me, I'm going to stay in kindergarten, where you always have to hold everybody's hand before you walk across the street. You have to say, please, thank you, and you constantly have to learn. That's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah. That is a great place to be. I did some clips recently for like promo stuff and my clips. So the clips recently have had to do with, and this, I think, talks to what we're discussing now, but I get these, I can't let God live my life for me. Like because I think some people say, well, God's here, so I don't have to do this or this or that. And it's like, well, I don't believe that, because I believe God gave me the capability and the strength and everything I need to do this, this, and that. And then it's up to me whether or not I do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, Jesus was fully human, and that's an area where people struggle with, because they'll always come back and say, but he was God. I go, well, yes, but it clearly says that he laid down his divinity. He laid it down, because if he was not fully human, I could find an excuse. But because he was fully human and also had to learn to hear from God, learn to know God's heart, and show up, Jesus had to show up. And if Jesus shows up, I can show up. Wherever Jesus went, wherever it's written that he went and he experienced, hello, write my name on it. Yeah. So can I.
Yeah, and that's a really cool way to think about it. And I love having discussions that are out of the sort of mainstream thought process, especially truly about God or Jesus, because some of the most wonderful wisdom about living and about showing up and about not being a bum is in the Bible. And there's wonderful places to find all kinds of wisdom. There's been, thousands of years of authors and people who are inspired, and they talk about wonderful things, and we can learn from all of them. But, and the Bible is an interesting place. And I don't look at the Bible from a religion perspective. I look at the Bible from a, this has some wonderful things to teach me about life perspective, just like Jesus. Like, if I could sit down with him right now and be like, coach me, man, tell me what to do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Because I don't know. I mean, I'm doing the best I can, but he's better at it, Well,
then I find myself showing up, doing the work, doing the best that me, myself, and I can, put on the piece of paper, set on the table for the day. And then I find myself, I'm kind of like, all right, it's time for me to take my hands off of it. And that's where your faith believes that, okay, it's God's turn to use that testament, to use that life application to help somebody else.
Yeah. And I believe for me, there's an element to that of, okay, well, I've done what's in front of me to be done today. And a huge part for me is I am not the dude in charge of the results. I'm the guy in charge of my attitude and my effort. And that is where I like to just, here's the wheel for the bus. You go ahead and drive, God, to the extent that I am able to let those things go is really powerful. And sometimes I'm better at it than other times. Sometimes I suck at it. I imagine it's similar with the publishing process. I mean, it was for me, right? Like, yeah.
So my husband, who is now, he secretly says the word retired, and I keep telling him that is not an appropriate word. I said, how about we called refired, whatever. I said, just get that one out of your brain. But he's been at home through my put my butt in the chair since November, and come on, let's muscle this thing out. Let's get her done. And it took a little longer than November, but that's when I decided to actually, put it forward so that, okay, do it, write it. You've left this chapter out. Come on, let's get this done. Let's do it. And then him watching the publishing process of, oh my gosh, you didn't shoot your computer, Yeah, I mean, the stupid, idiotic things that we have to figure out. That they come back, you download your manuscript, and all of a sudden it goes, won't work. But they never tell you why it didn't work. It's a guessing game of how you have to tweak it to get it to fit their exact specifications. So,
Thank
my
God.
husband has a new opinion on my ability to walk out patience, but it's not something I ever prayed for, because my grandma told me not to. Don't ever pray for patience, because life gives you enough.
Right. You'll get run over if you pray for patience. Well, the good news is it's only 444 pages, right? So, the manuscript must have been, that's unbelievable. That is,
isn't that?
Quite a
That's
book.
100. I think it's about 120,000 words.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Wow.
And I tried, I did. I laid it out and did the whole sacrifice thing of like, well, what are we going to cut out? Let's pinch this down to get something that's, that feels consumable by another person. Because you think about the reader, when we present our offerings, I mean, that's got life written on it. It's got sweat, blood, and tears written on it. And we're supposed to cut something out so that it is easier for a person to consume. I think we could talk about that.
Yeah. Well,
in our scrolling quick, quick.
Right. Instant gratification, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to that. Before we get to instant gratification,
yeah,
because that's a huge, I mean, that is, to me, and I'm not going to say it's the opposite of showing up, but it certainly gives me a whole bunch of reasons to not show up. Right?
Yes.
Because writing a book, publishing a book, doing things where the reward takes time is a commitment that a lot of times, people aren't willing to make. And if I haven't said it yet, congratulations to you on this venture. And it's wonderful.
Thank you. I am very pleased with the outcome.
That's awesome.
I'm right in that place where you can feel, because people are just starting to read. The ones who get the print ones, I don't think they've arrived yet. So you actually feel as the writer, the author, just kind of like, oh, people are starting to read it, and your words, and there's such a place of sacrifice and humility there for someone, because people can read your words and they can take it from so many different perspectives, and that can mess with your mind.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing. I was going to go into something else, but now you got me latched onto this. So here's the interesting thing, Kristen, is you could get 200 5-star reviews and you get 1 2-star review by somebody who's angry about something else that day, allegedly, or they didn't like the book, but I can't believe that. And then it's like, oh man, I got a 2-star review. Meanwhile, you got a stack of 5-star reviews. Like what is that? I don't know what that is. I do know what that is, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Humility. It's just getting past it. Don't. I mean, on YouTube, you get people and they comments, and it's kind of like, geez, why would they ever say anything like that at all and put it online? You just go, oh my gosh. And I mean, if it's abusive or crass, I just delete it, right?
Yeah.
But even if it's opposite, if it's, as long as it is not a personal hate message, I will respond and thank them for taking the time. Because sometimes just a person honoring that they've taken the time, even if you don't like what they said, that opens the door for them to begin to actually listen to their own words.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, and I will not pretend that the things that I've written are for everybody, and I understand that, and that's completely cool. And if somebody has some, criticism for me that's not just full of like something crazy, I will absolutely, take it into consideration for the next time I write or the next time I try to profess something or whatever. I don't want to be, the last thing I would want to do is hurt anyone or knee-jerk reaction to, oh, they didn't say wonderful things about me or my book or whatever. But, I'm not always the easiest dude either. Like I can be a little tough on things and myself and just, and it really is, most of my life and most of the things I discuss have to do with showing up and have to do with don't leave somebody else to do it. Don't expect God to do it for you. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And I can be pretty hard when it comes to that because I want people to get it. I really want people to understand that this life is up to me. There's help, there's people, there's God, there's the universe, there's energy, there's all kind of stuff that can move in the direction with me and assist me, but I've got to do the work. And that's what I try to impart to people.
I think you do a very good job at that, Daryl. Thank
you. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's really important to me because, and I've gone, so if here is not doing the work and here is doing the work, and then here is being an absolute nut job and doing way too much, I probably live over here somewhere between here and here. I have a feeling that might happen with you sometimes.
Oh my gosh. This last week, I was just reformatting my EPUB, and that is for your Kindle or your Nook, and you have to basically strip your print manuscript so there's no to separate it out so it can be read digitally. And my titles that are connected with the chapters, like chapter 1, here's the chapter. Well, what the software did is it put the chapter 1 on its own individual page. So Holy Spirit woke me up at 2 a.m. and says, you got to get up. You got to get up. You got to get up. So I got up and I sat down and I was looking at how the proof of the EPUB, and I couldn't figure out how to get the chapter 1, chapter 2 on the same page. They have little things that say, keep the text together, and it just wouldn't do it. It took me 12 hours.
Oh.
12 hours to get those little letters to cohabitate on the same page.
Wow. Wow. And you probably didn't take a break, or if you did, you took like 5 minutes or something.
I know.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm like a dog with a bone, and I have to talk myself off the ledge. But you know what the good news is, Kristen? I'm better than I used to be.
Yes. Praise God, aren't we?
Yeah, better than I used to be.
Oh.
All right. So there's the question that I can't leave aside, but we can go as long as you want to go on it, or as short as you want to go on it. But if you would please tell me, because I think it helps to relate, to understanding people's stories. Tell me about an event or a time in your life that caused you to show up for your life in a different way.
Yeah, and you gave me just a little bit of a clothespin on this one before we started, and the Holy Spirit said, talk about this. And I went, really? Okay. It is in the book. I really had to show up. So I had an abortion when I was 21 from my first marriage. And I wasn't actually listening to God at all for those decisions in my life back then. I didn't ask him his opinion. So take years later, I'm, now a mom. I have 4 sons. So all of this, we've been going through transformation and working on brokenness and those things that we do because we start showing up for ourselves. And I came to this place because I started ministering and encouraging people and that in my life. And my sons are in their teens, right? And all of a sudden, this shame was just beating the crap out of me. What if my boys found out that I had had an abortion? And that, I can tender that shame of, I've got to confront this because it's beating me up. And so I talked to God and said, is this something you want me to do? Because when you put light on a matter in your own heart, it removes the darkness. You take that flashlight and you just say, I'm showing this is right here. This is it. And the darkness just can't be there anymore. And how could I show up for other people if I didn't deal with the shame that had boxing gloves on it and want to hit me in the face every day? But I had to be sure. And so I was at peace in my spirit. Now I had to ask God to set up the timing, because timing is important, so that they are also in a place that they can talk about, have a conversation. And so I decided, all right, let's just start it from the oldest and work their way down. And I asked my oldest, he must have been 17, 18, not graduated from high school yet. And I said, I need to share something with you. We need to go for a walk, and that street just was not long enough for that particular conversation.
Wow.
And you can't unspill milk, right? So I remember telling him that, I had had an abortion when I was 21, and they didn't even know that I'd been married before. And he just wrapped his arms around me and said, Mom, I had no idea. I'm so sorry that you went through that kind of pain. And every one of my sons did that. They responded the same way. And that just kicked shame in the teeth, and it never showed up again. I never felt like, oh, what happens if they hear? Now
Yeah.
I'm going to put a firm ministry clause here. I knew that Jesus had asked me to share this. I knew that was part of my redemptive calling, that I would be speaking to women who had suffered the same type of choices. But this is my clause. We do not need to dig up that which God has forgiven. And so I say that because it's really important that you have Jesus' strength and peace behind you to share something that has already been dealt with between you and him. So that was I had to show up in something that was so frightful, to think that my kids would think bad of me. Ooh.
And thank you so much for sharing that, Kristen. That was something. And the courage to share that is awesome. Thank you. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but you know what? That was such a beautiful thing to have happen, as far as how your sons all responded.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And I'm going to put a little carrot, because there's more to the story. A carrot that you hang carrots in front of people. Yeah, there's more to the story. And that is also in the book of how good God is. And had you or I not walked out those really hard places to kick shame in its teeth, it wouldn't have supported us and strengthened us to be able to help others.
Right. Absolutely right. And it's interesting, because when I refer to that type of a situation, and whatever it is that I need to address or confront, or, I call it the bully. It's the bully because it's beating the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And the cure for the bully is turn around and, exactly what you said, kick the bully in the teeth. That is the cure for the bully. And that's sometimes the most frightening thing to do, because ultimately the bully is me. The bully is me not being able to be okay with me. And I for me, it's forgiving myself. For me, it's taking that, I have to allow the light in, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to me to turn around and kick the bully in the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
And I have help, and I have God, and I have people, and I have all the wonderful things to help me. But man, sometimes is it scary.
It is. Is you feel like, well, especially when there's other people that are involved, because you don't share those deep, intricate places with people that haven't walked a few miles with you.
Right. No,
and
not. Yeah.
you are not responsible for how they respond.
Right. Absolutely. And that's part of the doing the work, right? Like, doing the work and leaving the results up to God, or however anybody wants to fashion God in their life, whether it's universe or energy, or it doesn't matter, goodness, whatever. I'm a firm believer in that, whatever works for someone's life. But that's where we hand over that wheel and say, you know what, I'm going to do my work. And then here you go, here's the wheel. You can handle how it unfolds. And that's very freeing. It's very freeing to not have to have my grubby little fingers in what I think the results should be, because I don't mean this in a disparaging way to myself, but I'm not smart enough. I don't run all this stuff, right? Like I don't make eggs, I don't make goats. Something else much bigger than me does. So I can't figure this stuff out. I can just do what's in front of me to be done. And then the results go where they go. But I will say this, and I'll shut up after this because I want you to talk. My life is 1,000 times better, if not more, than I could have ever imagined when I was younger. And that's doesn't have to do with me. That has to do with me doing the work, but it has to do with God. It has to do with grace. It has to do with direction. It has to do with how I've been led. And that's a pretty cool thing.
I agree. It is a very cool thing.
So, Kristen, what do we do when other people decide that they don't want to show up? Excuse me.
Well, I have learned and am learning and recently to be prepared for such occurrences. Because when the first time it shows up and your expectations are not shared, then it kind of catches you off guard. But the grace in that is, okay, I need to be better prepared, because there are people who don't show up, don't respond, don't do their homework. And I mean, that's different from somebody who apologizes, says, I'm here, but I had these hindrances before I got here. That's a different thing. But when they don't show up when you've handed them something that is very valuable to you, it's difficult. It can challenge you. And it is important to know what your intent is ahead of time. And I suppose my rough road lesson that helps me in that is I used to do that with my husband all the time. Because I'm one of those mover, shaker, change the world kind of in your face gal. That doesn't surprise you. Here's my black and white. Gray? I don't see gray. Do you see gray in there? And finally, the Lord just had to get on me, and he goes, you know what? You got to free your husbands from your own expectations.
What is the old saying, Kristen? Expectations are planned disappointments?
I'd not heard that.
They used to say when I first got into the 12 steps, and many, many moons ago, and they would say, expectations are planned resentments.
Really?
Ooh. Yeah. And I was like, ooh, that's strong.
I think I can touch those words a few times.
But then I'm looking at my life and I'm like, oh, I think they're right. I think they're right.
Yeah. But that was a lesson that I learned many years ago. I've been married 43 years. So I think I've had a few times around the block to actually learn that. And those lessons have proven helpful when you're out there trying to change the world,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and not right, wrong, good or bad, but it's amazing how many people aren't necessarily movers and shakers and change the world and help and care about honor and all that sort of thing. There's just people that don't have that mechanism, and it sucks.
Okay, it's time for a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure they don't have the mechanism?
Well, they have it. They're just not utilizing it.
There you go. They're not responding from it.
100%. Yeah, they're living their life with all of the, the refuse that's on top of this stuff that is responding in the way that they could. But there's a lot of things in between. Yeah, so good clarification. Thank you for that, because that's true.
But I think that's what you and I are called to help people engage the mechanism.
Right. Get those gears clicking, moving the right way. Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that everybody's on their own path, and the universe or God or whatever is trying to move them this way, but some people just aren't going to get it. And I have to discern where I'm going to spend my time, because I can beat my head against the wall trying to change someone that doesn't want to change. Or, you know what, maybe if I put my time over here and this person actually is willing. And I think that's crucial.
It is. And I agree with how you said it, the discernment of who actually honors the value that you share.
Right. And you know what? I may not be the right teacher for a lot of people, and that's completely cool. And I get it, because I'm similar to you. I'm pretty black and white. I will get in your grill if I feel it's necessary. and that's my way. And some people embrace that. Some people need that, to sort of shake them out of the malaise. But some people don't respond to it, and that's completely cool. If I'm not the right teacher.
Now, I would say to you, because I'm familiar with it, it's called the redemptive gift prophet. You find that in Romans 12.
Interesting. I'm going to look at that.
Redemptive gift. Yeah, you can.
I'm going to look at that.
It's in the book.
Oh, it's in the book.
It's in the book. I'm not the first one to go over. Yeah, I'm not the first one to talk about the redemptive gifts. But when you understand how they are embedded in your DNA, then it helps you to strengthen and encourage those that aren't. Because I find myself as the redemptive gift prophet, I need a whole lot of mercy people around me. As much as they drive me crazy, I need them because they keep my heart soft. But they need me because I tell them, nope, that's enough. You're not spending, that person's not honoring your time.
Right.
So it works together, that ebb and flow of relationship.
Yeah, it's like a balancing mechanism. Yeah, absolutely. Kristen, I know we could talk for a lot longer. However, let's talk a little bit more about anything you want to say about your book, in terms of, just letting people know, whatever you'd like them to know about your book, how to find it, how to find you, all that great stuff.
My book, How Good is God? Coaching Church Beyond the Gates of Hell to Truly Experience Heaven. As I started out in the beginning, God is gooder, with your little apostrophes over here. God is gooder than our current bandwidth about him. And I can actually say, yes, he is. And I have stories and encounters and testimonies of people being healed by 4-stage cancer, so I can say, yes, he is better. And a question that I ask myself, and the book asks the reader, because it's a responsive guide, so to speak. It's a responsive. You don't read it and say, oh, okay. No, it's asking you questions the whole way so that you can sift through. It's a book that asks the person to show up. Are you going to show up? Why are you going to show up? Why aren't you going to show up? What's in the way of why you would say, I'm not going to show up? Or if you disagree with me, well, why do you disagree with me? And if you went and asked Jesus, what would he say? Well, I never thought about asking him. Well, don't you think that's a good place to start? The book can be found at all of your online retailers globally. If you're in the US and you'd like a signed copy, you can find it at KristenWambach.com. And I'm sure Daryl will put that link in his show notes.
He will.
I'm rather proud of it. And you will, the rest of the story of the redemptive purposes that I shared from when I had my abortion to sharing with my sons, God is gooder than that. And it's an oh my. I guarantee you'd never guess it.
Thank you, Kristen. I am going to buy the book. I am going to buy your book, and we're actually going to be taking off for a little jaunt. So I will have something else to read while I'm gone, which is cool.
I hope there's nice turquoise waters and warm weather where you're going.
There's supposed to be, so I hope so too.
Good. So when you're reading it, think of me.
Yes, I will. I will do that. Thank you so much, Kristen. It's so wonderful to see you, and I love our discussions. And
I as well. Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you for joining us on the Show Up podcast. To learn more about me, my coaching, or my books, please feel free to visit my website, DarylDittmer.com. DarylDittmer.com. Thank you.